Tashidalek and hello all the friends of Jhamtse family around the world. I am really honored and excited to be part of Worldwide Jhamtse Celebration 2018. On the behalf of Jhamtse Gatsal Children's Community, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the donors, friends and supporters of Jhamtse Gatsal Children's Community. And especially thanks to all the supporters of Capital Campaign. We have achieved our goal of $1 million and our construction is ahead of our schedule and under budget. Soon our children and amalas will move to new family and we will also accept new children to Jhamtse Gatsal Children's Community. This will not happen without your support and generosity. We are really grateful to your generosity, your love, your compassion, and your kindness. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Many of you know this as children's community. Some of you as a place you visited. I know this in only one way, home. After a long time, we are getting family houses like these in pictures. Here we will have facilities we had not even dreamed of. I want to thank all our supporters and most of all the villagers, the children from nearby school and every relative that left all their work to help us build our home. Thank you. Hope is a simple word. We hear many are inspired by our community. You say we inspire you, but what inspires and motivates us is the love and support we get from around the world. Buddha's teaching of interdependence, as I perceive, is rather simple. We all are not just connected. We depend on each other for the simplest things like love, care, joy, hope, even a smile.
This is our new family house, and this the right one is Gangla and the left one is Pangin. So the building which is above, and there's 3 floor, and second floor is boys and the first floor is girls. So this is only the 2 family houses which we have built, and Pangin and Gangla now soon we will be shifted over in this our new family house. Thank you.
For example, if I think of the dedication of amalas, in 13 years, these young women, they shared their room with around 20 or above 20 children in one room without any privacy. And they lived with them. And at the same time, all the children who grew up 13 years from really young age until they graduate, think of, from high school, they shared that room. And they never had their personal space, or they never had opportunity to sometimes be alone, and which is very necessary for every human beings. But they were constantly with a big group of family. See, there is some good thing about this, but there's also some challenges in that situation. So the first time in their life, and these children, boys and girls and amalas, will have their room and within one family, where most of the time they will be spending a time together, but when they need it, so they can have their own room and they can have little privacy and they can have their own bed. And when we started, it was a small beds, and eventually that they had to share the beds when we took more children to the community, and often kids have to share their beds. And most of these kids, they never had even their own bed. And it's not, when you have to do this for year after year, it's not really convenient to do, and it's not also healthy. But I think now having their own bed, having their own space, having their own family will help them to really feel a sense of belongingness, and also sense of the ownership that they will get.
Hello, this is my Amina's bed, and she has been sleeping here for 11 years. We are going to have new family house, and I'm glad that she's going to have her own personal room, and I'm happy for her. Thank you.
Yes, I think right now we are about to complete the first two family house, which is one duplex, in coming definitely in 2 months. And then at the same time, we will be starting soon the next duplex, which is another duplex, which has two more families, and which is going to start. And I think we will also require to build adequate kitchen and dining, which we don't have right now. And also, and we have amazing staff members, and some of them have been working with me from the beginning of Jhamtse community, and some they joined later. But we still do not have a adequate housing for our staff, and that would be another kind of a plan, and to have, and our dream to have at least adequate housing for our staff as well. But we felt it is priority is for children, and first we should have adequate housing for our children, and then our kitchen and dining is basically literally falling apart, and we need to, that is a more emergency after family house, we have to focus on that. And then a third stage that we need to think about building adequate staff housing. It's like any other kids, and as you guys have seen Tashi and the monk, and when Andrew and Johnny, they were making Tashi and the monk at the community, and Tashi was one of the newest kid in a community. I guess she was around 4 or 5 years old at that time, and very recently joined to community at that time, and she had a lot of challenges she brought into a community like any other kids. And over the period of times that we notice transformation of Tashi, we noticed that how she has been changing and growing and becoming that who really she is. And I could say that when Tashi and a monk became really popular, and when it was traveling around the world and really touching so many people's heart, and in the community we have been saying this, like Tashi will save us or Tashi will destroy us. And I think by this time we can confidently say this, Tashi is definitely going to save us, because this is the one question people ask all the time: how is Tashi doing? And she has been really changed a lot. Honestly, I do feel that I don't want her to change completely. We will miss her if she changed completely. And we still want to see some Tashiness in her as she grows. And that is her. That is who she is. And there is a little naughtiness, mischievous behavior in her. We want to see that. And not every behavior is negative. And she's a little playful, she's a little mischievous and naughtiness. In last few years, fortunately and unfortunately, she has been changing a lot in a positively, and which, like, we don't want to lose every character of Dashi, and we need to see some dashiness no matter what. So she has been doing wonderfully, very well, and changing and taking a responsibility, and learning new things in her life, and becoming more generous and friendly with everybody. So it's a wonderful to see that change, but we don't want to lose every what do you call the characters of Dashi.
When you reflect back on the last 13 years, again, as you say, of Jhamtse Gatsal, what would be your highlights? What are the stories, if there are any, that come back to you?
Honestly, for me, is every moment of Jhamtse Gatsal is a highlight for me. And that is something I feel personally is my breath. I breathe in and I live. I breathe out and I live with energy and hope and optimism. And I dream. So every moment is definitely a highlight for me. But one way of looking at this, the journey of Jhamtse Gatsal Children's Community is when we started Jhamtse Gatsal Children's Community, it was clear in our mind that we have to look in two different elements of a growth or development. One is the internal growth, and number two is external growth. For me, the internal growth was more important than external growth, and that is a Jhamtse. The internal growth is a Jhamtse, the growth of love and a growth of compassion. Now, the external growth, we can talk about our infrastructures, financial, and more staff, more children, we can think. But what most amazing highlight was, there were some moment even I was a little bit kind of often, when you see the challenges, you experience challenge, it will put you into a situation where you have to pause and think, am I doing right? Is it right thing? Am I going towards the right direction? All sorts of questions comes in your mind. One, I think, situation was, again, I think, which I already kind of mentioned, is it was idea, it was a good thought, but being able to witness that when this great idea or great thought, when it actually changes somebody's life. And that happens so many times, I think. So many times, I cannot count. That happened to every children who came to the Jhamtse Gatsal. It happened to them so many times and keep happening. And it happens to so many adults who came to Jhamtse Gatsal. And those are amazing kind of experience when they practice, when they apply, when they put compassion into action. How does that really impact to their life? And moment when you see that, moment when you notice that, you witness that, and how it's impacting, how these people are changing. That's why, like, it's like a countless moment that you see, every day. You see in children's life, in the staff's life. And for me, I think, again, those are becoming more important than any other kind of change or growth. Uh, uh, I don't know how, when we think about highlight, it seems like it has to be something really sort of unusual, but I think maybe so many people will think, oh, this is not really highlight. But for me, I think I shared maybe this story with you then. One of our boy, his name is Sanjay, and when he came to Jhamtse Gatsal, and I think he was a boy who took a longest time to smile, and he definitely forgot to smile. It seemed like that, the smile, he never had any experience of smiling, a joy in his life. And we struggled a lot, uh, about how to help him to really kind of just making him feel safe or loved and cared. And after, I think, 5 or 6 months later, and one day that, I think we got a whole new clothes for him, but that was for Tibetan New Year. But he got those things all the time. But that time, like, for whatever that reason, that the first time when we saw, and especially when I saw him smiling, it was a kind of, and you see, if you ask me this kind of things, I would never forget in my life seeing Sanjay's first smile. And it was for me, it was a sense of gratification that I achieved something, able to smile Sanjay, able to make somebody smile, is, for me, I would say, sometimes like $1 billion achievement. Most people might not think, so what a big deal about if somebody smiles. And these are important for me, and I think these are really important for Jhamtse Gatsal Children's Community. That is something I looked at as an internal growth. That is, I see, as our achievement of helping somebody to smile who has forgotten to smile. Number one, when you involve with the children, is learning about patience. All the time they taught me to be a patient, and without a patience, you cannot do anything with the children. And I'm not being sort of what do you call, sarcastic, or just being kind of philosopher here, but it is a truth that we do learn more from children than what we teach to them. And one way of, when people ask, often people ask me, what is a Jhamtse Gatsal for, and why Jhamtse Gatsal? I often tell people, Jhamtse Gatsal is a place for transformation for both children and adult. And for me, children has been amazing a factor of my personal transformation. Sometimes intentionally, but most of the time even unintentionally. They help me to transform myself. I don't know. This is a question that I can't think of any particular situation how these children really, what you said, how children really taught me. But every in every situation, children has been amazing at teaching. Children has been amazing at challenge. And but whether they are amazing or they're challenging, they've both been my amazing teacher. And often, honestly, I do learn more from challenging children than well-behaved and dedicated children. So, for personal transformation and learning, and challenging children, tough children have been more useful than a nice, well-behaved children for my personal transformation.
Since Jhamtse Gatsal opened its doors in 2006 and welcomed the first 34 children from local villages, we know that there has been a lot of growth and change in the community. But has the mission of Jhamtse Gatsal changed or evolved since its inception?
See, this is a very interesting question to reflect on. When we started Jhamtse Gatsal Children's Community, one of the biggest challenge was to how we can really are convinced to all the people who are involved in this amazing journey. At that time, and even the first 5 years, I should say maybe 5 to 7 years, for most of the people who are involved, directly or indirectly, with the children, it was a wonderful thought, or it was a wonderful idea. And at that time, people are doing whatever they can to kind of it was something like a job for people. Normally people would do job for many reasons, for living, for feeding their family, whatever reason they would do. I think first, from the starting to 7 years was somewhat like that. And that was a very difficult period for Jhamtse Gatsal Children's Community. What the most amazing thing that I have noticed in this 13 years, and then eventually when people can experience the impact of this work, the impact of their service, when they experience, and then when they internalize it, and they can now experience the real impact on them, not only that helping to the children. And then you will see that so a new level of energy started to come in a community. And also, not only the people at the community, but even like people visiting from outside. And they can feel it. And almost everybody will say, oh, this is amazing. Wow. But I don't know how to explain this energy we experience in the Jhamtse Gatsal Children's Community. And that was, I think, one of the biggest a change that I experienced in all these years. And that was a time, I should say, that the people, especially people who are working in the Jhamtse Gatsal, and their energy level has shifted. And so the way they work, it was no more a work for them. It was more for a service. It was like they were not driven by anything else, but it was clearly a mission-driven, thing, and it was truly kind of what you call the kind of almost a finding a meaning in every individual's life. So that was I would say, the huge change that I have experienced. And personally, for me, I think seeing that happening in our staff's life as well as children's lives. You could feel that children, how they are kind of growing, and how their energies are changing within themselves. Was a most amazing period of Jhamse's growth to experience. And because of that, I think individually for me, I get this energy every day, no matter how hard the work is. Like waking up with this amazing energy every day, with the optimism, with the hope, and with the enthusiasm. It's like I question sometimes myself, where I'm getting this energy. At the same time, I look around Jhamse children's community and staff and children, where they're getting this energy also from. And that is what I feel is in 13 years, that the mission of Jhamse Gatsal is not just on a paper, but now the mission of Jhamse Gatsal is now living in each and every people's heart at the Jhamse Gatsal children's community. And that is a power, and that is an energy that we feel every day in Jhamse Gatsal. So amazing journey. It's an amazing experience, and it's also contagious, because sometimes I think that our visitors can maybe experience, they get overwhelmed, because it's a truly a unique and truly a different level of energy that you could never experience in anywhere or in any situation. It's a truly human, the energy of love and compassion that people can experience, and that is a really powerful. As I say that anybody who is interested or inspired by vision and mission of Jhamse Gatsal Children's Community, and we can always think of the two different things we can help. One is we can contribute to the internal growth, internal development, that is a growth of love and compassion. And another thing, of course, is the obvious thing is external growth, is just supporting Jhamse Gatsal financially and being a part of this. Also, contributing your skills, your expertise, your service in many ways, like beside financially contributing to accomplish the Jhamse Gatsal's needs. And the internal growth is, I think, which anybody can actually contribute, and being in your place, being with your family, becoming more compassionate, thoughtful, and supporting your family member, your friends, and building your community and supporting your community through, applying the principles of love and compassion in your life. These are ways of that how you can support us. And honestly, our needs are great, but our resources are limited. There are so many ways that you can support to Jhamse Gatsal Children's Community. And if you need more specific guidance, then you can connect to your local the organization, and we have in different areas and local contact people that how, and they will definitely guide you to participate in our work. Thank you, and as usual, I'm not really comfortable sitting in front of camera, and it often turns into a little serious discussion. But please enjoy your celebration, and have a great celebration. And now I can stop my seriousness here. So wish to see you someday or all in a person. And thank you so much for your celebration. And I'll start now celebrating. No more serious talk. Now let's start with the real celebration. Cheers.